everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, I really hope you stay. Today we are going through our autumn TBR, and as you can see, or as you did see, I have a lot of books on my autumn TBR pile, my physical one anyway. Like there's definitely ones that I want to buy as well, and some on Kindle. But yeah, I am going to go through by genre. How am I going to separate these? I think we have some thrillers, fantasy, excuse me, some thrillers, some fantasies, dark academia, and then like straight up just Halloween-y kind of books. We also have some series and just normal fiction. But yeah, we're going to be talking all things autumn today, and I have been in the autumn mood since the 1st of September. Like, it turned September and I was ready for the pumpkins, the bats, everything to be brought out. Also, ignore my shelves, they've been butchered after I brought out everything that I wanted to read in autumn. Okay, so the first book that we're going to be talking about today is The X-Hex, is it going to focus? By Erin Sterling. I have already read this book. I read it last Halloween, and I don't even know what I rated it. I think I might have given it a 4-star, but this book is actually a 5-star if I did not give that already. I have not stopped thinking about this book, and every time like I've even thought about this autumn or this Halloween, I have thought about this book. It was so good. I read it in one sitting. Like, the writing is just, I don't know, a very satisfying style and size, and I just flew through it. It was really, really fun. I know a lot of people don't love this book, but I really, really enjoyed it, and it was a 5-star read for me. It's basically about the main character, Vivian. She is a witch, and she goes through a really bad breakup and basically places a curse on him. Not really like in a serious way. I think she's drunk and just going through the breakup, you know, motions, and kind of jokingly places a curse on him. And then years and years pass, and Reese, the ex, returns to their small town where Vivian lives, and I think she owns a shop with her cousin or sister, I actually don't remember. And once Reese comes back, then a lot of weird things start happening in the town, and they quickly realise that it's because Vivian placed a curse on him, and it is basically destroying all the magic in the town. So yeah, it is a really fun one, very quick, and I really recommend it. The second one, of course, has to be The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. It is a follow-up to The X-Hex. I haven't read this yet. I've had it since last year, I'm pretty sure, and I am almost certain it is about Reese's brother and Vivian's cousin or sister. I forget if she is even related, but we are introduced to her in the first one. And I think it's an enemies to lover, again, small town romance. I know that they both open shops, and I think they're just kind of fighting over each other or fighting over the shops. I don't know, but it sounds really fun, and I know I'm gonna love it because I absolutely love The X-Hex. And these are giving Halloween. Like, I need to read them ASAP. I know I should probably wait until October to read these ones, but I can't stop thinking about them, and I feel like I need to read them right now. Then we also have another witchy book. I'm kind of getting all the witchy ones over and done with, as you can see, but this one is called Payback's a Witch. It was really popular was it the start of the year or was it last year? But I don't know a lot about this one. I just know that obviously the main girl's a witch, and I think it's more like a revenge on an ex kind of situation. I think she's starting to fall in love with the girl that she is helping plot against her ex. I could be so wrong again, but that is the gist that I got for this book. I cannot wait to get to this one, but I think I'm going to read this one first because I have not stopped thinking about it. Okay, so next I'm going to go through the thrillers that I'd like to read in autumn. I would ideally like to read more thrillers than this because I only have 3 in the pile. I feel like I owe it to myself to just try and make it through my physical TBR and then go from there and see. But the first one we have is Stephen King, The Institute. I haven't read any of Stephen King's books, and I feel like autumn, Halloween, like spooky season is just the time to start any kind of Stephen King book because he is known for his horrors, his thrillers, his crime books. And yeah, I've also heard good things about this one. It is one of his newest ones. I'm pretty sure it is about this kid's parents. They get murdered in the middle of the night, and the main boy is taken, and he's taken to the institute. It is for like child prodigies, definitely kids with like, I don't know, weird talents, or just better at the usual. I don't know, I haven't really read a lot into this, but I think they're obviously very strict there, and weird stuff goes on because it wouldn't be a Stephen King book if weird stuff didn't go on. So yeah, I really want to get to this one. I also just want to tick off a Stephen King book and just see if I like him as an author. He is known for, like, I know he's like the king of horror, so I'm sure that I will like his writing style. And yeah, I didn't want to go with a horror because I just feel like it would scare me too much, so a thriller seems like the right place to start with Stephen King. The next one that we have is The Skeleton Key by Erin Kelly. I actually hadn't heard a lot about this book until it became the Waterstones Thriller Book of the Month, and it is quite a thick book for a thriller, and like the writing is small as well, but I did hear that it's quite a quick paced book. So, and also the cover is so pretty. Like, I'm obsessed with this cover. I just want to have it like sitting out for autumn Halloween time, just purely for decor. But this one is actually loosely based off a true story. I don't remember the full details of the true story, but basically in the book we follow this family, I'm pretty sure, and so the granddad in this book, he wrote a treasure hunt kind of novel, and I think people started to take it seriously, and they were actually going around and they were trying to find the real clues in real life based off the book that the granddad wrote. Don't hold me to that, I'm almost certain that's like how it goes. And I think things turn a bit deadly, a bit aggressive with the people whenever they're trying to find this treasure. I know that the clues that they have to follow is of a murdered woman, and her bones are kind of scattered around, and I think you have to find her bones to be able to find the next clue to go on to the next one to end up finding, yeah, the treasure. I've never read a thriller slash treasure hunt. I don't know if there's like a specific genre for that, but it's giving like The Goonies in my head. But yeah, I really want to get to this one. It is definitely long, and I need to start this sooner than later because by the time I get through all of these, I might not be in an autumn mood anymore, and this one's definitely autumn and not winter. The next one that we have is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I haven't read any of his books. He is mostly known for The House Across the Lake, and I've heard really good things about this one. I know that Destiny read it and Sarah Crowley read it, and I know that Sarah loved it. Destiny liked it, I'm pretty sure. It is about a family. So a family gets massacred, basically. There's like a big murder, all of them die apart from one remaining survivor, and I think it's years and years later, and in this book we finally find out what happens because the main character is a carer for the one survivor, and I think she gets her a typewriter and she finally starts to tell her story. So the next books that we're going to talk about are kind of dark academia, darker books, but the first one I'm sure everybody can guess because I feel like anytime dark academia is mentioned it's always this book, but this one has been on my TBR for over a year and I need to read it. It is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This book is so popular and so loved, so I can't wait another year to read this because I'm getting extreme FOMO and I want to know what it's about. I have no idea what this one's about, so I can't even give a real description about this. I know this one might be a little bit of a slower one. We'll start reading it and then we'll judge it from there. The next one that I want to read is the classic, The Handmaid's Tale. I also love this edition that I have. It's a bit old, but it is very pretty. I feel like everybody knows what this one's about, kind of. It's also based off true stories, which is incredibly sad because it is all about basically how women were treated wrongly and unfairly by men and all these rules that they had to follow. It's very dystopian, but you know, stuff like this happened and I do want to read about it because obviously it is a modern classic and it is loved by so many people. Next one, I'm not too sure if it's dark academia, but I don't know, it gives me the same kind of vibes as Handmaid's Tale and The Secret History. I think it might be more fantasy, but it is the Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I haven't read any of V.E. Schwab's books so far. I actually got this one in a secondhand shop that I used to work in. That's why I have the American cover. It is a little bit wrecked, but you know what? I really like this. and you can't get it anywhere in the UK, this cover anyway. I actually love the paperback one as well, so if I read this book and I love it, I'm definitely going to get that one too. This one is about, so the main character is immortal. Nobody remembers her when, like, after she meets them, like, nobody really remembers who she is, so there's nobody in the world that she can really have relationships with, friendships with, you know, she can't really live her life in the way that everybody else does. I think somebody remembers her, and then that's when things start to go, you know, you get into the plot of it, because this one person remembers who she is and she's not used to that. That's not meant to happen. So yeah, I really want to read this one. Again, heard amazing things, and I really just want to read good books this autumn, so I'm choosing ones that I think I know they're going to be really good. We're hoping for a very positive autumn reading months. The next one is, it's a young adult. I only have the first book of the series here, but I do have the other ones in my shelf. This book, The Inheritance Games, has been blowing up TikTok for a while now, and I feel like everybody's read it at this point. I'm just extremely behind, so I really want to read this one. I want to read the whole series in autumn. If you have read this series, definitely let me know. I think, is this the same person that wrote The Naturals? Because I really want to read that as well, but I have no copies of those books. But I feel like I need to read this before reading that. If it is the same author, I'm not actually sure about that, but I am pretty sure. I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure. Like, they're giving me the autumn vibes, and yeah, I've heard a few people saying autumn's a great month to read these books in as well, so I'm gonna give it a go, and hopefully I love it too, because I've heard many great things. The next one, I have actually owned this book for so long now, like a year and a half at least. It is Lonely Castle on the Hill, or in the Hill? On the Hill? Why did I say that? Lonely Castle in the Mirror. Why did I say the hill? Anyway, first of all, cover stunning. 10 out of 10 for the cover. If this book is awful, I don't care. I will be keeping this book because I'm obsessed with the cover. Like, it's just, and it feels nice. Like, this is expensive paper. I just know it is. This one is just a literary fiction, I think. Possibly a bit of dystopian fantasy. I'm not too sure. I haven't done a lot of research on this one either, but it's just been staring at me on my shelves for literally a year and a half. So I feel like this is the time that I need to read this book and see what the hype is about, because I have, again, heard very good things about it. If you have read this book or any other books by this author, definitely let me know, because yeah, it just seems like a good book, but we will see. It could be awful, hopefully not, but we will see. The next one that we have is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This book is so loved by everybody that I know. Almost everybody I know has read this book, and I know it's a very short one, which is nice. Is it about the main girl dies and then she enters this library, and each of the books shows her the choices, like if she made different choices, it shows her what her life would have been like. Is that true? I don't know. Don't judge me if it isn't. Let's see what this says. Nora's life has been going from bad to worse. Then at the stroke of midnight, on her last day on Earth, she finds herself transported to a library. There she is given the chance to undo her regrets and try out each of the other lives she might have lived, which raises the ultimate question: with infinite choices, what is the best way to live? Okay, so she hasn't actually died yet, but she gets like this kind of second chance at life. The next one is, so I actually started reading this for another video. It is called Anatomy, a Love Story by, let me see, Dana Schwartz. This cover, I picked it up purely for the cover, but this book was in the fantasy and sci-fi section, which I am certain this book is neither sci-fi or fantasy, because I did start it and I'm about halfway through now, and it just seems like literary or historical fiction to me. It is good, but I will save my opinions for my other video. But it's very autumnal. It is set in Edinburgh in the 1800s, and if you've ever been to Edinburgh, you just know that the whole city always looks like it's in autumn, and it is stunning, and the author does a really good job of just, like, I don't know, giving that feel. I don't know if it's because I'm in the mood for autumn/fall books, but this one, it is nice for the setting. But yeah, I will give further details about this book once I've finished it in my other video, which will be coming out. Okay, this next book I don't recommend anybody to read. I personally haven't read it but I just know that it's extremely full of trigger warnings. So if you are thinking about reading this, definitely look them up. I have, and I was like, I don't know, I definitely need to be, I don't know, can you be in the mood for this? I need to show you the title. Of course, it is A Little Life. I feel like if anybody says this book is full of trigger warnings and you're going to guess it's A Little Life, first of all, this size, is it normal? Is it okay? And the writing is tiny. Like, this book, for people to love it as much as they do, and for being this size, it must be amazing. Like, in my eyes, this book has to be good. I actually did start it maybe at the start of this year. I don't know if I left a bookmark in it anywhere. I did. I was on page 74, so I might pick up from there if I do start it again, because I think that I do remember where I left off. Also, look at this little bookmark that I made. I know. And this side, isn't that amazing? Ignore my nail, don't even look at that. I don't know if I'm gonna get to this book. I always tell myself it's one that I want to read, but it's a challenge to read this, and it's not a happy book. I know it's not a happy book, so do I want to be depressed? That is the question that I need to ask myself before reading this book, and it's also the question you need to ask yourself before reading this book. So I'm not recommending it, but I do think it would be very autumnal, and it'll be very, you know, if I can just picture, like, wrapped up in a blanket, it's miserable outside, the book is miserable, but, you know, I feel good, okay? I feel like I'm not a true reader if I haven't read this, and yeah, that's where I'm at. That is why it's on this list. Next, we are going into fantasy books. Fantasy books are my absolute favourite. I haven't read a lot, like, I just know it's my favourite genre. I have read, well, my favourite so far is like Once Upon a Broken Heart, and that series, it has my heart. And A Curse for True Love is coming out in October, and that will be read in autumn. I just obviously don't have the copy of it. But the first one is Unravel Me. It is the second book in the Shatter Me series. I read the first one, and then I read the first novella maybe in July, and I mean, I'm liking it so far. I just feel like I need to get into the series properly, and I think people say a lot happens in this book, or it might be the book after. I need to double check. But if you haven't heard of the Shatter Me series, I'm sure you have. It's basically the main girl, whoever she touches dies or is in extreme pain, and she is basically being locked up by this, I don't even know what to call them, what would I call them? This group of men. They are like higher up men, and they're trying to basically figure out why she is like this, I'm pretty sure. But I don't want to do any spoilers, because obviously I've read the first one. I feel like there is spoilers by the end of it that would lead on to this one. But yeah, it's very interesting, and it's a young adult book as well. So if you're a young adult, or you just like young adult, then I recommend the series, because, well, I obviously don't recommend the series. I haven't read all the series, but I recommend the first book, and you can judge it from there. The next one is actually another Stephen King book. It is called Fairy Tale, obviously by Stephen King. I don't know which one I want to read first, The Institute or this one. I think it just depends what mood I'm in, but I've heard this one isn't like scary at all, because he's obviously known for his horrors and thrillers. This one is a fantasy. I've no idea what this one's about, but it just intrigued me, and I think it was on offer when I got it, so I was like, okay, I'll pick that one up. And then everybody has read this book at this point. Why am I so late to everything? Sometimes whenever a book is hyped up so much, I don't want to read it, but Fourth Wing has to be read in autumn. If it's not, then sue me. Just sue me. It's fine. But this has to be read. It is quite intimidating, like, it's kind of a big book, but it sounds really interesting to me. And the writing, why do authors do this? Why is the writing so tiny? Like, I would rather it be 1,000 pages and the writing huge than 500 pages and the writing tiny. This book doesn't even need a description, I'm guessing, but it is about dragons, and that is all I know. So I can't even give you a description anyway. I just know it's about dragons, and I know it's a fantasy, and did I get Hunger Games vibes from it? Did somebody say that on a TikTok? Possibly Hunger Games meets dragons. I don't know. We will leave it at that. That is all the books that I have on my physical TBR to read this autumn. Wish me luck. How many months is... Well, I'm going to include September as autumn, even though I know it's technically summer, but we're going to start now. So we've got September, October and November. Maybe 2.5 months, because I feel like at the end of November I'll be ready for Christmas. But you know what, I feel like fantasy and thrillers, they're kind of my genres anyway, and I always kind of read books like this, but this is when I'm just really in the mood for them. So I hope that you got some good recommendations, or you got some good ideas, and if you've read any of these books, please let me know, because I would love to hear all of your opinions. Yeah, just let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.